Snow outside?
Hopefully not.
Woo! You are looking live at the GovCast. Woo! From South Florida. The production team says you can't hear the music, so we just let it play.
Trying to get more copyright infringement things with the music. Quick tip, right, Jack? If you're ever uploading to YouTube videos, make sure you do that.
You can't use somebody else's. You can't steal Sunday Night Football's theme music, Brent Musburger's intro, or they ding you. It's amazing. The internet is undefeated.
We have to create our own song to play now.
Yep. Good, Steve. Go ahead. This is behind the scenes. Good, Steve. Tell them that story.
We're gonna get we're gonna take some lessons over here.
We had Ball with the Ball. We had Kid Rock's song in the background one time, and the internet pings us. Hey, this song you don't have copyright to use, and we are dinging you for it. And you're like, it's like the internet world. It's like so crazy.
It's that AI technology. They picked it up, and then they could label the song. It was only for a couple seconds because we turned it off and we started talking. But that little nip, they got us.
Hey, did you guys know, not to keep this off topic, but I just found out on your phone. So there used to be, the app Shazam?
Yep.
Yeah.
I knew about that, but I found out, I was watching some video and I found out that there's a button on your phone that you can literally just press. And then it's built into your iPhone. It's down here. It's like this little thing. You press on it and then it tells you what song you're listening to.
See, Apple putting Shazam out of business. See,
I've never heard of it. I thought it was so cool. I seemed like the oldest one in the group when I told them. They're like, "Yeah, we've known about this." I said, "All right, well, what am I gonna?"
Yeah, I'm gonna pass that. I never knew that.
What's the button? Bring the phone back up. What's the button now? We're in it. Go ahead. Right.
Hold on.
Full screen. You got to go full screen with it.
This one. That one.
Oh, there you go. Look, zoomed in. There you go.
Good thing my nails don't look atrocious. This is a really
look at that rock.
My brain was blinded.
Rock. Woo! Rock. I think look at that. While we're talking about your ring, go ahead. What planning do we have with the ring? Go ahead.
Oh, we signed the contract 2 days ago.
You're getting married. You got a real facility. There it is. A beaker blast all the way around.
Not till next year, so March 12th.
March 12th next year. Oh, that's the day. Do you know that's the day we went work from home last year?
Really?
March 12th of 2020 is when we left the office because folks were like, we got to go. Back now, right now, people are like, oh, yeah, of course you work from home. But it was like every day we're like, are we going to work from home?
Yeah.
That was the day. Noon.
I didn't know that.
Noon
so what that means is you're never going to forget that date.
Never. Noon on March 12th. Everyone was like, go home and don't die of COVID.
Best day of our life. Just kidding.
We never went back. So we never went back. So we have no office. We are like nomads in the wind. So congratulations, Dre. You want to introduce yourself to the people, by the way?
Yes. Hi, I'm Andrea. For anybody who doesn't know me, but most of you probably do since we've been doing this for almost a year now, March 12th.
But the millions of followers, they all know us by name. Steven.
Stephen Bryan here, the Dean. One thing I like to share is that pizza ovens are awesome. So if you're thinking about getting one, definitely do it. My brother-in-law bought the Uni, and it heats up a stone to 900 degrees, and it cooks a pizza in 60 seconds. So if you're a fan of pizza, you can make your own. Use healthy ingredients. I just heated up a little bit for lunch, so the leftovers are even good. So recommend doing it if you're thinking about pizza oven.
Like in all seriousness, what has happened to this show? Like literally, we started and said we're going to talk about the government, and then I don't know if we ever do that. And then there's a webinar, and then there's weddings, and now pizza stuff. I mean, who cares about the government?
I feel like you're just on a commercial. So dial in 1, 2, 3, 4 to get 50% off today.
You never know. If you're bored at noon, you never know what topic. Just grab your lunch, and maybe we'll mix in a business fact for you, or we'll tell you about weddings or pizza, you name it. So
make it personable. Connect with the audience. That's it.
That's what we're doing. Who cares about the government? Hey. So appreciate everybody joining us today. Special guest Bryan Elsesser. You'll be here in just a second talking about how to sell software as a service, being a leader, sales leadership, how to be great, and really what's happening in today's current environment, right? We just mentioned what COVID is done to companies and work from home and how to improve your process and how to actually accommodate that. So the companies that have had an outside sales force, right, really trying to adapt to now everything is basically inside, or please don't come see me, and how to do that. So we're going to touch on all those things today. During the show, if you have a question, comment, put it down below, even if it's about pizza ovens or weddings or venues or Starbucks. Dre, I thought you had a Starbucks.
Mine is empty. I'm like so wired. I'm trying not to be like shake. I got to hold on, because I didn't know what it was. I literally got there. I'm like, give me a grande. She's like, what? I'm like, actually, I was like, give me like 4 shots. She's like, what? So it's iced quad espresso with almond milk. It's gone. So
iced quad espresso. Woo! I know. Don't ever be the person that goes to Starbucks, because you need a long list. And then every time I go, somebody forgets a word, and the lady's like, cold, hot. You're like,
you got to know your lingo, right? Tall, grande. You can't go there and say, give me a medium. They're gonna look at you and know that you're a Dunkin' person.
And so when you get one of those in the morning, what else happens, Dre, at 5 o'clock in the morning? When you get
I wasn't even awake yet, which is why I needed this espresso. Normally I get up at 5:45. The one day I decided to sleep in, this guy from Israel signed at 5:42. I was still sleeping, but that was awesome.
Well, I was awake 5:42. I'm like, Jay got a big deal this morning, 5:42. No better way to start your day, rolling with Starbucks. That's the way to start the end of the month, right? Steve, you got anything to match that? You have anything you want to talk about? Big GSU explosion stuff? You got something happening over there?
Well, I thought it was really cool how you talked about working from home and COVID, and we just added a new chapter to GovSales University called How to Sell During a COVID Crisis. So everyone's going through those work from home challenges. It's pretty exciting. We'll get that toward the end, Jack. I know we got a great guest today, so I'm really excited to get into it.
Love that, though. I love GSUs and stuff. So we'll do that at the end. So if you missed webinar,
keep it on track.
Steven's always working. Great. So thank you again, everybody. Hey, we want to introduce Bryan Elsesser, the VP of Sales at SaaStr. Welcome to the show.
Hello, everybody. I'm here to talk about the government.
No.
That's
look, all 6 people just left. All 6 people.
Yeah, that was it. That was it.
We do that as just a hook, and then
I just thought that I was trying to help. I guess that was helping.
We try to mix it as little government as we can. That's
by the way, you don't want to take any advice on me on selling to the government. Okay, I've never done it. I don't think I'll ever sign up to either. That's not really something that's on my docket. If I do it, it'll be accidental. It'll be like, oh my god, I can't believe I did that. That's amazing. So yeah.
So can you tell folks a little bit about background? So Bryan, just very humbly, has a very, very, very diverse, eclectic background. So we're going to touch on a myriad of things today, including, again, how to adapt to what's happening with COVID. But Bryan, tell folks, including how you spell your name. Stephen Bryan loves that. So tell folks about your background.
So I'm Bryan with a Y, which, there's a real Bryan, and then there's like Bryan. So I'm the real Bryan. It's nice to meet you. Stephen Bryan, it's the second name. So it's like, it's just a subgrade, but we get the Y thing. So there's some camaraderie there. Background. Yeah, I'm the accidental salesman. So I was an opera singer that liked to fight fires for free.
There you go. Look, there's some of those opera work.
Really interesting, by the way.
They queued up the B-roll. It's amazing.
There you go.
I love that. But yeah, I wound up selling advertising, believe it or not, AT&T advertising solutions, which became Yellow Pages, and then just grew that into a software career. Been fortunate to be with some really, really amazing brands throughout my career. Most notably Yext. I was with them during the time they went public. I was with eMarketer just before they merged with Business Insider. Then most recently Aircall, where I helped them grow and from a Series B, Series C company. Really, really interesting telephony solution. And today, I'm in like day 6 of a new role as Vice President of Sales at SaaStr, which is the largest community for executives, entrepreneurs, and founders. So yeah, man, it's been a run.
Can you tell folks, so 6 days in? Congratulations, by the way. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Very best. That is awesome. Can you tell folks about, I guess, 2 things I would love. What made you go to SaaStr, right? Like what went into your process? And then tell us about SaaStr. I'm not sure everyone's aware of it and kind of what they do and how you help folks build their businesses. And so I think both, like how you decided to go there at such a high level, and then, what the company does.
Yeah, so in fact, I'll do it backwards. So like I'll start with SaaStr and then I'll go into the me stuff. But SaaStr is it's almost like an accidental success. I've used accidental twice now, which is not something I normally do, so don't hold it against me. But in that it was like a blog that had developed from Jason Lemkin. I don't know if you know Jason, but he had founded Echo Sign way back when, which was a Wednesday, and then it became Adobe Sign when they purchased it, and it got acquired. And Jason would spend a few months there, and he had written a blog called when you're growing your business at 100%, in essence, don't sell it, right? Is like in essence the takeaway. And it went viral, and he had bought the domain for SaaStr.com and had published it underneath it. And next thing you know, you were off to the races as like this viral blog that founders were using to help grow their business. And that actually is the premise by which we work today. We are the company that's helping businesses grow from $0 to $100 million in the software B2B space. And so tremendous opportunity for businesses that, they'll come in, they'll talk about their funding rounds, they'll talk about new product launches, they'll talk about how the space is changing, and all of that content's curated and added to and distributed for a lifetime. So it's a really cool brand. How I came to be there? Well, so I guess like your network works, right? I'm fortunate to say I'm really close friends with my old boss. So Colin Cadmus, awesome ex-VP of sales, I should say, current consultant, tremendous thought leader in the sales space. You keep in touch with people, you talk to them, and they keep you in mind when new things happen. And so he happened to know Jason. He made a connection, introduction. Jason and I talked, hit it off that like what they were doing really fell in line with my e-marketer experience, my SaaS experience, and then like just what it's like to go out and pound pavement. And so it wound up being a really natural opportunity that I happen to fall into. So I'm super fortunate to be here. I'm pumped. I'm in selling mode right now, which, when you're in senior leadership, the rust grows for a while, right? So I'm every day scraping the rust off, and going back to my roots, and it's really fun. And I'll be growing a team here shortly. So
we were talking about before the show. So Steve and I did that together. Like when we started our current company, Steve and I would just sit around, and every day my wife would be like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Yeah, we're like making 100 calls a day." Because I was like, you have to figure out the pitch, right? If you don't know the pitch, you have to you can't teach and tell somebody this works until you know it works. So Steve and I sat around for like 2 years, like working on the pitch and what should it be and what are we really saying and what works and what doesn't work. And you can't farm that out.
It's so underrated. Like it's not talked about enough, right? If you're a VP of sales, all right, VP of revenue, truly like a VP of anything, but let's just talk about the revenue generation part. If you're in that space and you're not talking to customers and you're not helping sell, like you're doing it wrong, right? No business is growing by Salesforce jockeys, right? Like we need to be out of our dashboards and into the weeds. So that's truth. We have to have that time.
Right. So important. It's like the UPS model. Like you have to do it where you can tell somebody else how it works, right? And so I think that's where a lot of companies go awry. They're like, I don't know, I have this cool product. Somebody else learned how to sell it. So until you learn how to sell it, especially if you love it and created it. So can you tell, before you started at SaaStr, I think a lot of things I've seen, like you were actually helping both SDRs and AEs and sales managers, kind of coaching and building them up. So I'd love for you to share a little bit about that, your experience doing that, and maybe one or two tips in that world that you help folks kind of develop their sales career, which is really the focus of what we try to handle in this hour. So
so there's a few things there. First and foremost, I still do it, right? So I'm an advisor currently to Leon Health Science. I'm helping them get their sales process underway. I'm an advisor to Employ. I'm helping them build out their SDR process and what that looks like. Really cool companies in the tech sector. And like they get to, we just sort of mind meld, if you will. But, first and foremost, coaching is, if you know how to do it and you like doing it, there's nothing better in the world. I love watching other people have success. I love watching them watch their careers explode. Super interesting to me. I'll never get over it. But that being said, I guess if you're there's a few things there. If you're getting into the space and you're thinking about, hey, I want to coach, I want to grow, I'm not really sure how to go and do that. I think you need to do a few things. First and foremost is that you need to make sure you have a process down. And I don't mean like company process, yes, have that. You need to have your team process. So if you're a leader, go build that. But I'm talking about like individual process. You're going to be an SDR or an AE, and you're going to be in sales. You need to have a process established. And sales process is like, it's bled in numbers, right? You need to know sales math. Where's your ending goal? Work backwards. How do you build conversions to it? And really sit down and build a plan that you can figure out and use it off of your own numbers. But that's super important. And I think it's a missed step. I think a lot of people wait for that plan to be provided to them. And like, that's, you know, it's, you got to do that. The second thing I would say, and I posted about this today, is that like, have fun on purpose, right? I actually, there's a hashtag I'll use sometimes, have fun on purpose, but like, have fun. If you're going to go into sales, dude, there's a lot of stuff in sales that's not fun, right? Like people like to tell you that like to go scratch, and like, you have to be like, hey, cool, where? Like, it's gotta be punchy. And I think that I watch a lot of the even people try to tell me right now, and some of the messages that I get, I'm like, oh, bore. Stop. I don't get to see you in person. You can't sell me in person. So do me a favor. At least treat me like a human, not like the cyborg that's writing some jargon and rocking. Like, go talk to me. Please talk to me. So, yeah, have fun. Get into it for the right reasons and hold it down. There's a lot I could talk to on this topic, Jack.
Well, that's funny. I read that post this morning. I love the term prospect like a human.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Is that the same one?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, like, exactly.
Because the one thing I think of, right, is like, you know, just connecting with people, right, being yourself. But in your opinion, when does it go too loose, right? Because that's one thing. If you got someone in their 20s, you know, out of college, yeah, bro, what's up? Like, and then you don't take them seriously when it comes to sales, right? So one thing's being yourself, and then there's the professionalism. Because when I started my career in New York City, I was trying to be this button-up executive VP at the age of 22. And I was like talking like stiff professional because I thought that's how you're supposed to be. But then when I started getting comfortable in my own skin, you know, I was being a lot more successful. So I don't know any advice if people are trying to cross that path new into the sales game. Like, what's too much or too less?
Go ahead, Jack. You're muted, Jack.
Do you see Steven trying to connect? Look, he's like, look, Steven's like, New York City, spell the name. Like, watch out. I follow your post. Watch out.
Yeah. We're bros now. But
I lived in Whitestone, border Long Island there for a little bit.
Like, I'm in New York City. We spell our names the same. I follow all your stuff. You want to have dinner tonight? I mean,
you're like, when does this become stalking?
No, like, here's the deal, right? Like, human to human sales is that's the way it used to work. And I think, like, let me actually take a step back, is that it used to not work this way. Like, the dawn of what I think the stereotype of salespeople is, right? Like, I'm thinking grease tear, used car, vacuum, door-to-door sales. There was nothing authentic about that, right? Like, but everyone did it. You'd walk around with a bucket of dirt in your pockets. You walk up, knock on the door, throw dirt at them, and be like, oh, let me get this. Jack did that, right? Right? Like, that the graph, I can't get it. The graphic's awesome. But right, like that was a thing. It can't be that. And we have so much work to do. I tell this story to every new salesperson that's out there, is that you know, there's the old saying that goes, what's the most trusted profession in the world? In fact, Jack, what's the most trusted profession in the world?
Oh God, I don't know. I was gonna go something religious.
Okay, so it's not, but close. Andrew, want to give a shot?
Sales.
No. Trusted. I said trusted, Andrew.
Politicians and sales. Bro.
So I was trying to be funny.
So we'll get back to that, Jack, in a second, because you said something very interesting. But number one is firefighter. Okay, like everyone trusts a firefighter, right? Everyone think about it. Like, firefighter enters your house, you're not going, all right, don't steal my stuff. You're like, please help me. That they all trust firefighters. Let's go down to the bottom now. So, Jack, you said something very interesting. You said politicians and sales are at the bottom. Which one is the least trusted in the world?
I thought last one I saw was politicians and then sales reps.
Okay.
So sales is the bottom of the totem pole. Okay, the politicians are right above us. So we're worse than the politicians. And I love telling this story because, like, like that means that we knew I need to do a lot of work here, right? So human to human sales is everything. What's too far? Yeah, like lose the beer bottle and the bro dude college thing. Like that's not going to help you, right? But if I reach out to someone authentically, right, and I'm like, for instance, right, anybody out there that might have Terminus on their thing today, do you know Terminus had a Series C raise today? Like it just announced, and I'm here publicizing them. I'm going back to them later to say, hey, I was on the GovCast. There was 2 million people listening, and
2 million.
2 million, and I was talking about your race, but right, like knowing your customer and what's out there of like what can you connect on. So like Gravy does this really well. Their CEO is up there all the time, and he's talking about, hey, like if you're gonna build something and like message us, do it authentically, like actually care, know what we do, know what we are into. If you go do that, just don't write a book on it, keep it short, show you care, and it tends to work out for you.
Especially now during COVID, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, again, I'm in a shed in my backyard, right? Like, come on, like I'm not.
That's the nicest shed ever. That is the nicest.
My tractor is right here, man. It's they say you're supposed to treat your stuff with respect, but no, right? Like that's the idea. I mean, and in fact, actually, I just got a ping just now. Let's see if this is a ping of positivity of like. This works out. Yeah. See, like I reach out to somebody, they just started their role 2 weeks ago. I started my role at the same time. He's like, ramp up. I'm trying to create demand gen. I'm trying to ramp up. I sell demand gen. I'm like, it just seems like the stars are aligning here. Let's find some time to connect. He just pinged me right now saying, let's do it. Let's find a time. That's how it works. That's it.
All the canned stuff. Maybe you get 1%, 2%, 3%. Personalizing it and being human.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, and I'll go on one more tangent here, which I'm known for, Jack, and you didn't sign up for when you brought me onto this. But like the one other tangent I'll say is the canned stuff. Like I could write a prospect, okay, that like, yo, dude, trees break in the wind. And just hit send. By the way, SaaStr does this, right? And it would be the most nonsensical email in the world. But if they're in the market for SaaStr, they'll probably respond. So like there's something to be said about canned messages and like awareness model stuff that you'll always get some sort of return, but nothing will be more powerful than that one-to-one connection.
Amen. So true.
Yeah.
So I got one. So take us to a different subject, going back to you starting at SaaStr. So you said you are building out the team now, right? Looking for new hires. So
soon, yes, very soon here, within like 30, 60 days. Yeah.
So those of you looking for jobs, SaaStr.
Yeah.
We do. We create opportunities here.
Drea was actually, she's like, look, I just sold some big stuff and I wanted you to know that. And so are you hiring? I'm ready.
He's talking about me for a minute. No. I'm just kidding. So I was going to ask, like, what are, and this might be a broad question, but you've obviously interviewed a lot of people. You've worked with a lot of people in your days. So what are some of the top traits that you're looking for in some of the new people that you're trying to hire?
And honestly, it's a good question. And I hire for my advisory clients as well. So I mean, like, look, I think that answer is all about the role itself, but there's three intangibles that I hire for, bar none, no matter what the role is, right? Mm-hmm. So, and I think that if you're early in your career, later in your career, these are the three things you need to think about in order to be attractive in today's market. One, you have to have like dealt with a challenge in your life where like you got punched in the jaw unexpectedly and like rose above it. And you could do that professionally, you could do that personally, whatever you do, don't go out like trying to find tragedy in your life. Don't do that. Right. But like someone's listening to this and going, damn it. Like they're going now.
I haven't had anything. A silver spoon in my mouth.
Yeah. No, like I think that having challenge and overcoming it it teaches character. So that's one. Two is like learn to be okay with like changing the status quo. That's really an intangible that's underrated, right? Actually, I'll give you four. So that's two. The third is you have to be able to learn a lot of stuff quickly. At least in my field, I'm at SaaStr 6 days and I'm on client calls pitching it. Do I belong doing that? Maybe. I mean, right? Like, but you have to be able to learn a lot quickly and put it to use right away. If you can't do that, slow is dead. Like, you can't do it. Yeah. And here's my favorite that I hire for. I hire for weird. So there is something about that, right? Like the best salespeople I've ever met are the quirkiest people in the world. You're like, I don't know what it is about you. There's something really weird about you, and I'm down for it. But like, really, you sell a lot, so I don't care. And that's it's like a law. It's like a law of physics.
Yes.
Be weird.
How about
Yeah.
on that same? I totally agree with that. By the way, totally agree with that. Like when we do interviews and we have new people interview, I'm like, listen, it's like I always say, like in entertainment, all the people we know their names, they're all off. Like Prince or Michael Jackson, you name it, they're all
a little. Yeah, exactly. Like
all a
that's.
little weird.
Yeah, and that's good. I'm all about the weird. As a sales leader, there's a little bit of like navigation in that, I would say, right? Where you're like, I have to manage the weird, but you know what? Like, if you care about revenue and that's your number one priority, manage weird all day long. Give me the weirdest. I'm down.
In that same or close topic, what's your best advice for, in my experience, folks all interview and they're like, I'm going to be your best, right? They're all like, hire me. I'm your next superstar. Then they come in, they're good. And then they plateau and they go back to bell curve, right? So what things as you're coaching sales managers, sales leaders, how do they connect people to, like, literally like in a gym, have them self-actualize? Like, what's the process?
Never kill the hunger, right? So there's something about that, when you're talking to a top performer, there's a fierceness that they exist in, and like they've always been competitive, or in their previous jobs, like they can tell to the number of what they did, they're proud of it. But you can also hear they're like, I'm a little upset because I wasn't able to extend that 125%, to goal to like 130. And like, they're like, they're able to talk to specifics on their numbers and just how like intense the intensity is there. And once you can find that hunger, your job as a leader is to leave it be. Like, don't get in their way. Remove all their obstacles from their life, make it so they can sell a bunch of stuff. And if you can be their best friend in their moment of need, they'll always have your back. Amen. Always, always, always. And the best sellers will be like, hey, where are we on the number? All right, you're missing it by 40%. What, we have 3 days? No problem. I got you. Like, they'll find the most impossible outcomes possible if you take care of them.
Is there a I totally agree with that. And is there any mechanism, process you've seen be more effective when, in my experience, we have a big team, right? And so whatever percent, there's a 20% that kill it, autopilot, they are, and then, the folks that are in the bell curve, they're solid, but they are, I would say they're just conforming to the world, right? I'll be a B player. I'll make B money. I'll longingly look at all the A players and wonder how they do it in some way. Like, is there a mechanism you've had to like move people beyond that, and help them self-actualize?
I have a few ideas on this. The first one is that I think the world needs B players, because B players help the A players be A players, right? Like, without B players, you don't have A players. So you just have players. So like, I think that's part one. But to that extent, in terms of like making them feel like you want your team to win. Here's an idea. Like, we always talk about, like, in sales, the sales leadership will be like, the hit goal. And they're like excited about that. They're like, next year, that means we need to raise goal. And like, we're going to make it harder because they could have done more. They hit goal. Look, here's the deal. Like, when did it become a bad thing? Your team hit goal. Like, lean in there, right? Like, if your team has a feeling of winning, then that's a winning team. There's nothing more positive than a winning team. And the people that are your A players will always pile that on, right? And you can always find added incentives, added spiff dollars, added trips, added prizes to go and like really motivate a team, because a true sales team is money motivated or in some way, shape, or form, like they want something tangible motivation, right? So there is that. But I think that we keep B players sometimes when we always raise the bar, and we need to keep that in mind. Like, let your team win. They'll rise to the occasion if you do that. That brings my second point too, is that like, if you can align as a leader to your people, like, find out what they're interested in. I'm not talking work. Forget the metrics. Stop coaching a call for 5 minutes. Spend half of your time focused on them, their personality, their people, their family. Learn about them. If you can do that, they'll hit the metric for you every day.
Yeah, Bryan, there was this guy used to work for him. He would bring out this box. It was like a cardboard box, and it said, "What's in your box?" And like that was really what's important to you as an individual. Trey, have you ever seen that before?
No.
No, Jack? No.
Okay.
Jack, Bryan, I'm making a little inside joke here. Jack actually came out to one of our sales meetings, 100 people, and had this box he created because really, like, what's important to you at the end of the day? That's going to motivate you, get you up in the morning to do a great job.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, okay, you want to make money, but what are you going to do with that money? Do you like to travel and go on a trip, or do you want to buy a new bicycle or get that?
I used to put when I first started selling, I had in front of me every day above my computer, I had a picture of two Adirondack chairs on a beach, and it was just always in the back of my head of like, I know I'm doing well when at any time I feel like I could just go to the beach, right? That was like my motivation, and
Jones
I've been Jones, the Long Island reference again. I love it. Let's go. No, I was in Milwaukee at the time, so Jones Beach would have been a little far, but I was thinking more of like Caribbean. Like I'm going to go in any time I could get on a plane and go, right? And I think my second year, I had won the award, the President's Club Award for that year. We called it CEO, different, but I had won that award that year, and I was like doing well. And I actually proposed to my wife that year, and we went to Costa Rica. So it was at any minute. If you're doing well, when you can just go to the beach.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I would just tell me one of my little things I say to people. Everything's different down in Florida. It's when you go over the intercoastal. Like there's intercoastal. I was like, when you drive over the intercoastal, everything's different. So
everything's different.
Highly encouraged, right? When you can be within an hour drive or near the beach, everything's different.
Well, that's it. Amen.
Dre?
Well, we haven't asked Sally's question yet. Like that. So Sally's asking you, Bryan, hey, what's a good subject line when using an email?
Oh man, I mean, like this. It's a good question. Like, I mean, like, but I'm, like, I'm giving one away here on a prospect that I haven't even heard from yet, and I'm really hoping. Like, I have a vision, right, of like in a bowl, okay, the brand, right, Saster, and like me pouring gravy over it. Right. And going, delicious. And the reason I have this in my head is because gravy is one of my prospects. I don't want to get them on a call. Right. Like Saster and gravy sounds delicious. That might be an email to the subject. Right. Like who the heck's not going to open that? Right. Like, and so I think like, what's your best email? Like, there's always the standard, like you'd put your company, two little, the what do you call it? The less than equal to signs. And then like, the other company, prospect company name. That's always standard. But I think like, try to keep it simple. And if you're not going to keep it simple, show your personality.
Yeah, amen. I say all the time, listen to people. I've said this on the show a couple of times. Everything, Baltimore Ravens are my weakness in my life. Any email that comes in like, oh, are you upset they lost in the playoffs? Or did Lamar play great? You're like, oh, I'm opening that. Like, who cares? Like literally, if you know Gong, the lady at Gong trying to get me, she literally hits me up when they when they went to the festival, like, oh, you think Lamar will win this week? I'm like, oh, so in this email, who cares about Gong? Right. She got her pitch though. She got her pitch in, but I'm like, yeah, I'm so
Jack
lost.
still didn't buy, but he opened the email, and that's all.
Yeah, but that's 90% about it, right? We all just want to get we just want to get a swing at the plate.
Give me the shot.
That's it.
Right.
Shot at the title.
Right.
Shot at the title.
Yeah, when no one picks up or they don't answer, that gets more frustrating. Totally. So, hey, listen, I also saw one of the posts you had like a big, hey, the secret's being great. I love that, right? We talk about our team, like, again, trying to self-actualize, and that doesn't always have to, I agree. It doesn't always have to be, hey, you're the pinnacle at work, because maybe you're a great spouse, or maybe you're a great mentor, or maybe you're a great opera singer, whatever that is, right? So, I think that thing is amazing. But I love it, sharing with people. Hey,
I was waiting for the B-roll. I'm so excited.
By the way, Bryan really is an opera singer, so
yeah, there is that.
Can you share your perspective on that? Like, I love that. I love that line of thinking. We talk about it internally a lot. Like, hey, what does being great look like for you as an individual? Again, not all work focused, but in life focused, right?
I think really like it's a personal question, because I think everyone's going to have a different approach to it. I personally think that you shouldn't waste an hour of your life doing anything you're not passionate about. life's too short and it ends too quickly, and you want to be able to look back later and be like, I lived it, right? Like, not like, oh shit, I'm here. Like, are we allowed to curse on this? You don't want to, like, you don't want to go and get to that point and be like, oh. So I think that first and foremost, I approach everything from that mentality. It's be passionate or don't do it. And that's why I say yes more than I say no, because I don't know what I'm going to be passionate about, right? And then once I get passionate about something, I never want to let it go. So that goes into your career in that, like, if you are a B player and you know you're a B player, if being a B player, you're happy and like you're passionate about what you do and life's cool, then good. But if you always think that there's that little extra itch, like Jack said earlier, B player is always like, how do I get to the A, right?
Yep.
Make sure you're aligned on your passion. Like, just start there. When I was passionate about opera singing, I became an opera singer. And I became a professional one. And I traveled doing it. And I got contracts doing it. And I had agents calling me, right? Like, because I became passionate about it. It became my thing. When I'm a firefighter, like, dude, like, I'm crazy, but I'm passionate about waking up at 3 a.m. for some emergency in the middle of the night. Like, I'll get out of my bed, into my shoes, and into my car, and onto wherever I need to go, because I'm passionate about helping in that regard. It's like, if you can attach your passion to it and trust in that, then only great things can happen.
Amen. I'm sure counseling must be in your look. The most trusted is a firefighter, least trusted is a sales rep. You putting them together, that's a lot of cognitive dysfunction.
It's more of just like, look, man, I'm a firefighter. Just take the call.
Lead with that. Where does opera singer fit in the trusting paradigm?
It's a good question. Entertainment, it's got to be up there because a lot of people want to be a part of that. But you also have to realize that a good entertainer is a person that's good at putting on other faces. So who knows? Maybe there's a loss of trust there.
That's true. You never know, right?
Yeah.
So I got one, just following up on what you said. So you said, right, it's okay to have B players, which is something that it took me a little while to get used to, right? And it's something that Jack would preach a lot, because I was always I'm like, hey, why this person could be good? Like, why don't they work harder? Or why aren't they better? And he's like, it's okay. Like, you need these people to fill the team. You can't have a bunch of A players or you guys are going to kill each other.
Yeah.
So I get that now. But from a coaching perspective, like, what's your advice when you have, let's say, a B or C player that always says, I want to be the best, I want to do these things, but they don't do it?
So look, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink, right? Ooh. Like, keep that right out there. But the other thing though is, like, in the fire department, we describe it this way. When you go, I'm an officer in the department, and when you go to do your training for that, they teach you about your crew. And like in the fire department, like, we have A, B, and C players, like a sales team. And so your A players are the ones that hop off the truck, grab their tools, and go to work. They don't wait. They know exactly what to do. They've been practicing it. They know what is up. Your B player is the guy who does that, or gal who does that and waits at the door for that leader to come along and bring them in. And because they don't trust their own skills yet well enough in order to go in and be that A player. Your C player is out there trying to figure out how to put on their air tank. So like that's where, like, we look at it. I look at it the same way in sales, is that your A player is the one you don't need to guide them. They hopped off the truck. They're hooked up the headset. They're just rocking it, right? They know exactly what they need to do to be successful. Your B player is waiting for your leader to come along and help them to A status. And every now and then, you will have your B players achieve A player status, and life is a dandy when that happens. It's really, really exciting.
But I think one of the things Joey was talking about is, like, what happens, like, when it's disconnected, like when they say it, and I agree, like, you can't lead officially, like when they say it, but their actions don't follow through. Like, when I think we struggle organizationally, good person, if they stay at B and make big money, I'm good. But then when they're like, well, why am I not here? And you're like, here are the 10 reasons that we've discussed now 85 times.
85 times.
You're not doing, like, how.
Yeah, and that's a frustrating thing as a leader too, because you could be like, how many times do I have to have this conversation? But keeping in mind, you need your B players. So, like, you have to balance that, right? That frustration. The one thing I would say is that, like, we talk, at least with the C players, I talk a lot about skill or will. And it's like, do you have the skill to be that A player, that B player? Do you have the skill? If not, cool, I'll coach that all day long, right?
Yep.
I don't care how many times it takes me. I'll coach it. Do you have the will? Like, are you willing to put in the extra hours? Are you willing to put in the time in learning? Are you willing to go the extra step and find other areas where you can, enhance your skills? Are you willing to pick up the phone, right? Like it's the will piece that I can't coach. You have to have. I have that conversation with P players. I'll have that conversation all day long, because if they're verbalizing to me that they want to be better, they want to be the best. Hey man, skill or will, like that's what it is.
That's awesome.
Totally.
Steve.
Yeah, it's good. Just think about that, because I know, Bryan, you have a lot of experience with building teams and building systems, right?
Yeah.
You're in a position now to do that. And we're talking about like these different roles, right? A, B, C, and we'll just kind of relate it to the SaaS world where you have the SDRs, the AEs, and then maybe there's like a mid-level manager, then a VP director.
Sure.
Well, as far as like ratios go, because in GovSales University, like we talk about building a GovSales team, right? We say 2 people to prospect, 1 person to really do the demos, then you have 1 person as a proposal writer, because the person that's doing sales is the talker, and the other person just likes to not talk to anybody and just fill out the bids and the RFPs, right? So is there any mix of different levels that you found that really unlocks that secret chest to have that success to $100 million, like you're saying, a balance?
I really love this question. This is a good question. So
we've experimented with like 5 different models. That's why I wonder, what you think.
I'll try not to go too deep on this, but it's a really good question. Here's where I'm at on this. Aaron Ross writes predictable revenue.
Yep.
And everyone goes, "Ooh, we got to do this," right? And they go down running this road of segmentation in your process. You have people that own this piece of the pie, and the people that own this piece of the pie, and the people that own this piece of the pie. And because everyone owns a piece of the pie, you're stronger. And like, here's the deal. Like, actually, we're at the point, I think, of over segmentation, where it's good to have segmentation. I'll get to answer your question, Stephen, I promise. Yeah. It's good to have segmentation, right? But only if each role understands in great detail the next role and the pre-roll. So you have to know what precedes you and what goes past you, so that you know where you fit and you know what the next person's thinking about. That's super important. When we've trained SDRs, at least the majority of SDRs that are trained today are trained on qualification. They're trained on picking up the phone and doing their activities. They're not trained on discovery. They're not trained on closing. They're not trained on how the actual revenue gets found. And that's disconnected, because now you have people, you've hired this $1 million team to go and deploy against your prospects, where they're opening up opportunities for your AE team that are not qualified. And now what happens is your AE team's wasting time, burning through the day, with where they could be actually putting their time towards something that's really productive. So I think when I think of process, I think of it in that kind of granular level. Like, okay, like, well, how many people do I need to create the opportunities to keep my AE team full? What do I need my AE team to do to feel equipped throughout the day, so that if they are full, this is what they do. If they're not full, this is what they do. How well does every member of the revenue team understand the exit criteria in your sales stages? Here's one, right? Like, if you go ask a sales team today, hey, how does something get from qualified to closed won? Like, at what point do you move it? You could ask every single person on the AE team, and every single one will have a different definition unless somebody manages that. And that's a broken process. So I don't think of it in terms of the perfect quantity and mix. I think of it as a full understanding out of like 100% that your sales team in entirety, your revenue team, because that includes CX, in entirety understands your customer, stages to get to revenue, and how we all work together.
Yeah, I guess the next question would be like, what process do you do that, right? Because, I guess you could have the SDR hop on a closing call, right, to understand the full circle, right? But people have their goals to hit. Like, we need to get these amount of appointments today, and there's only a certain amount of hours, and that's always the thing. You want them to do it all, but you have to balance.
I think segmentation is a luxury, and I think people deploy it too early in companies. So you get really small companies that are like, "Oh, I need to hire SDRs." You're like, well, you don't even have an account executive yet, so why are you hiring an SDR, right?
Do all the jobs,
right? So I think we see, and correct me if I'm wrong, but because of coronavirus, in a way where people want more human-to-human connections, I think we're going to see more full cycle sellers. I think we're going to see a return to that owning of the process throughout, at least in smaller companies that don't have the luxury to burn money. So I think you'll see that kind of return. But subsequently, for the people that do have that kind of return, that kind of cash burn to go and play with, how do you make that process happen? You need to have really true communication and true access to understanding that insight. And you need to clearly define your expectations between each of these stages. It's super important that they're written out, they're preached on. You can jump up and down about it on every morning and talk about it. Yeah. And then you're bringing your team with you on it. I've never built a process without a team doing it with me. Yeah. So I don't build a process and say, this is the process because it works. No, that's wrong. Okay. I might know the process that works, but I'm first going to ask them what they think their process is. And they'd be like, it'd be cool if we edited it this way. This way now everyone's along with it and everyone understands it. So I don't know if I'm answering your question, Stephen, but
it makes sense, right? Because I think everybody's trying to figure out that mix, and as we keep talking here, it's sort of those things where there is no answer, right? But I love your perspective of
there's no answer.
The answer lives in your revenue.
Book. I'll give you the perfect answer, Jack. No.
The answer lives in your revenue, right? You're going to have a certain number of AEs that you need at full quota that are going to hit your revenue number. And in order to hit that quota, you need to have a certain amount of pipeline opened. You should know what that's based on, your conversion rate. And so if you can look at that conversion rate, you can work backwards to understand how much pipeline can one person open, how many SDRs would need to hire in order to fill that. That's really, it's just sales math. But ultimately, that's it.
Yep. And I would just say to comment to Stephen's thing, there's always time for development. Like you can never, when somebody's like, I don't have time for an hour of development, or that's total BS right there. In a day, there's always, in a week, there's always time. There's no person on call 8 hours a day. Like there's no inside sales group that goes, oh, my people, they're on the phone 7.5 hours a day. You're like, no. If they are burnt out and quitting in 2 weeks. So
that's exactly right. That's exactly right. There's always time.
Yeah. As we get near the end, can you tell folks how to reach you, best way to contact you, and what you're doing going forward? And when they're reaching out, be like, hey, we need help.
If you live in Center Reach, New York, the best way to contact me is dial 911. But outside of that, outside of that, bad jokes. I'm a dad of 3. It's kind of you wait. Your first child comes, you're like, wow, I have all this arsenal of jokes I never thought that I'd have. LinkedIn's the best way to get me. I'm probably obsessed with it, which is a problem. I get yelled at nightly for being on my phone by my lovely wife, who's sitting next to me and laughing because she knows it's true. But it's LinkedIn. You can look me up. Bryan Elsesser. You can see the link there, but go ahead, ping me. I try to get back to everybody, and especially if you write something that's personalized and like actually meant for me, I'll most likely respond. Ooh, which brings me to one good point real quick. Before we ever end this is so important, okay? Any salesperson out there, please listen, okay? If you have another salesperson reaching out to you to sell you something, be nice, right? I started a hashtag recently, don't be a jerk. Okay, seriously, that is something you need to go and do. Not be a jerk. We need to help embrace our brand and level up ourselves. Human to human means something. By the way, if you like that mug, you can find that link on my LinkedIn site. Go buy it because it helps a charity, the Long Island Coalition Against Bullying, and we're going to learn how not to bully other kids. So seriously, be nice to each other. Don't be a jerk. That's kind of my takeaway for anybody listening to this. You can forget everything else. Don't forget that.
I love it. You know that movie Boiler Room where the guy tries to call him and he coaches him up? I love that scene. Forget the movie. I love that scene. He goes, you want me to buy the paper? You're not even. I love that scene.
Yeah. So does that mean you're going to purchase? No, I already get the Times.
He's coaching you up. Bryan, Lisa, thank you, Elsesser. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Appreciate you. Great resource for those of you building your company, both that, obviously, and SaaStar. Amazing resources. Reach out to Bryan. He will help you be great as you grow your sales career. Amen? Thank you so much, bro.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. This has been great.
Appreciate it. God bless. Stay safe. Hey, so Steve, I think you have something to tell the people about before we go. Do your thing.
Oh, yeah. So anybody that joined us last Wednesday, thank you so much. We had that how to build relationships with government agencies.
That was our biggest webinar ever.
biggest turnout of over like 750 registrants. Just blessed for all the support, people learning, and the feedback's been great too. Sorry if our team didn't have a chance to get a hold of you, but if you want to watch the replay, you can definitely go online. There's a little link, govsalesuniversity.com, and then you just click the blog, or no, next to the blog, it's the webinar button. And you can watch the replay, just fill it in. It's all recorded. Dre's mixing up the DJ. There's some great tunes, but we had to cut them out for the YouTube version, but I think you might be able to see them online. As far as helping people out in the future, we do have some offerings. I mentioned earlier today, we just added a new chapter, how to buy during COVID. Oh, there's a great screen. So in addition to the 70 training videos, we're now over that 100 mark. So we uploaded how to sell to the COVID, how to help people win their first sale. So if you're new to selling to the government, you know they spend a lot of money, we'll help you. This is the program. It's super easy to get started. You can sign up online, $149 a month. And we've actually added a couple bonuses. So if you sign up by Friday, you're going to join a community. So you're not just alone. You can learn from your peers and other people that have been around as well. It's a Facebook group. And then we also have our data resources, which will give you completely free. It's $149 a month. So just go to govsalesuniversity.com, click login, or just reach out to the dean on LinkedIn. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, that's huge. Listen, I would just say to add on to that. So Steve, appreciate that. The Facebook group that they've created over there is amazing because it's a chance for you. You know, folks are like, well, I have the classes and I watch the videos and then I call and I talk to support and, you know, it feels maybe a little distant or it seems a little dry. It seems, you know, kind of hands off. But the Facebook group is live and literally every week, like they'll field questions. We'll jump in and like really take on like real questions and issues you're having. So just that alone is an amazing, amazing resource. And as Steven said, you can drop anytime. So we're going to earn our stripes every single month. So anytime you get frustrated, you're out, no contract. Amazing, amazing, amazing resource. Amen. Hey, one last thing I want to mention is the GovSales Hall of Fame. So there's till the end of next month. So again, if you know somebody that's in the GovSales world doing great things, I think there's 3 categories. Somebody who's selling to the government, support vendors that help people sell to the government, and then a Lifetime Achievement Award. And so you can go to GovSales Hall of Fame, nominate somebody. It's free. There's no catch to this. This is not like, man, we're going to collect everyone's email and name and then try to then pitch them something. There will be no follow-up. It literally is just the most altruistic way to acknowledge folks and to celebrate. Last year's been tough for a lot of people. And so just want to do something nice to acknowledge folks that have a lot of expertise doing great things. Amen. So please don't miss those 2 things. Dre, anything before we go?
No, so this is by the end of March then?
The end of March to nominate people. Yep. So you got another month.
Awesome.
Good. Yes. Good luck wrapping up the month, Dre. Do big things, more big deals in the morning. Stevie B, GSU, last chance. Anything else?
GSU, you know where to go, baby. GovSalesUniversity.com. But Jack was mentioning it's all about accountability, right? So think about when you go to the gym, you have a personal trainer, you're going to get the results instead of you just saying, oh, it's raining out today, I'm not going to show up, right? So that's one of the things is we have this program. You can watch the videos on demand for those people that just want to do it on their own. But this added value is just something that's there saying, hey, come on, you got to do this. Did you call those 10 agencies yesterday? And if you didn't do it, I want you to call 20 tomorrow. And it's just the game because if someone holds you accountable and you follow the process, you will see the results. It's guaranteed. Everybody knows you eat healthy foods and you go to the gym, you'll lose weight. But how many people in America do that? I don't know the ratio, but we all know what you need to do. So it's just a matter of doing it.
You'd be the nicest coach.
It would be. Listen, remember.
And I'd be like, okay, fine.
You know why you should go sell to the government? Because they're the largest prospect in the world. If you didn't know it, we're out! Woo! Woo!